And what is going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Ecom Genius Show. I'm your host, Jeremy Funderburk, founder of Instant Scale Media. And as you guys know, I am dedicated to bringing people in power and letting them take their genius and bring it to you. And today I have an incredible host. Correct me if I say it wrong. Sevon, right?
Absolutely. That's right. Yes, sir.
I got it right. So you guys are reading this Sevon, not Sevon, not Seven, Sevon.
Yes, sir. AKA the father of success.
He is the father of success. That's actually literally, but I'll let him get into that in just a second. But you guys know, I don't like any fluff. I like to jump straight into it. So Sevon, how you doing, brother?
I'm blessed. I'm blessed to be on the podcast and I'm grateful. How
Awesome.
about yourself? How you
Blessing
doing?
to have you, man. We're honored to have you. I'm blessed. I'm blessed as well. And man, I know you're gonna bring some value. So I just want to start off, man. I just want to hear your journey. Like, how did it all start? Were you always like the entrepreneurial type, or like who are you as a kid? Like, how did all this come about?
Yeah, I would say I was always an entrepreneur, even like in high school. I'm not gonna go way back as a little kid, but like in high school, I would once I started working, I would buy a lot of shoes. So I used to buy a lot of Jordans. My mom used to always tell me, like, you only can wear one pair at a time. Why you got 50 pair of Jordans? And I never really realized that until my freshman year in college. And then that's when I started flipping the shoes. So I just started selling all my shoes and I literally sold all of them. And I'm like, okay, I think I like making the money. I see where I might buy a lot of things or I might get something. And now I look at it as invest. So initially that was my first investment back in high school. I was investing. I wasn't looking at it like that then. I was just, consuming. But then I was able to flip it for returns. So it ended up being an investment for me. So yeah, I would say starting back from high school was initially when I first was an entrepreneur.
That's awesome. Went from consumer to prosumer.
There you go. Yes, sir.
I love it. And I know now you're really big in the financial literacy space. So give
Yes,
us that
sir.
rundown. How did you get into that industry and how did all that turn about?
Okay. Financial literacy. I feel like everything that I've come across came from experience. I know we was talking prior to the recording is just more so like even when I was in college, I was the type that would experience things. I would go places and I would learn more through that type of experience than I would in the actual classroom. Um, so being a parent, prior to being a parent, in the process of Success being born, because that's my son's name, Success. In the process of him being born, it's like needing to make sure that I tie all things, any type of loose ends, making sure that my credit was in order, making sure that my fiance at the time, her credit was in order. So once I was able to fix my own credit, it took about 4 or 5 months after studying and trial and error. I was able to fix hers. Then I was able to fix my sister's. I knew I could do it, but I never really looked at it as a business. I never thought about helping other people necessarily to do it.
Mm.
Then I realized, like, if our parents, that's something. Credit is one thing that we don't necessarily speak on, or as financial literacy is not something that, at least in my household, it wasn't talked about because my mom she didn't know as much about it. If she knew about it, she would have told me. But a lot of things with financial literacy is like, if the adults and the parents don't know it, then how can we expect our children to understand it growing up? So then we go through this thing of trial and error, trying to figure it out. And then it's like, oh, I should have had my credit right when I got out of high school or like early on in college. So I could have been able to utilize and leverage my credit to be able to own a property early rather than paying $1,200 in rent at the age of 19, or things that I actually experienced. So after being able to successfully raising my credit from 480 to 770 within like a 5-month span, and then raising my wife's credit from like a 520 all the way to 720 within, I think I did hers a little short. It was maybe 90 days. My sister, she was in the 600s and then got her to 780. That
Mm.
was within about a 4-month span. So I knew I could do it, but I still wasn't thinking, hey, let me start a business. I joined an organization where they was big on financial literacy, but then I realized like they had a group where it was credit related, and everybody would ask all these questions for credit, and I just knew the answers for them already. So that's when I knew like I had some information that could help others. But then I wanted to make sure that I geared it towards parents, because the children, I look at it like this, you know, the older generation, our grandparents, and the new generation, our children or the youth, it's a gap. So us as parents right now, we bridge the gap. So the ethics and the values that come from the older generation, it's our job to teach that to our children, as well as this new technology age that our older generation know nothing about. You know, our children is growing up like immersed in it. Like they don't have a choice. They have to learn and understand technology, and they do. Like that's why they're using the tablets and know how to operate the phone without you even showing them how to do it. Like it's just literally like they're smarter just out the womb. Or it's hard to really explain it, but you know, when you see children that know how to operate things where you never taught them how to do this, they just naturally are gifted at this. So I felt like, okay, if I could teach the parents financial literacy and the children look up to the parents is going to be able to pass down this information to the children, which is going to make a greater impact in the future, because they won't be so sporadic as they get older trying to figure things out. They already know what an investment is. They already know about an emergency fund. They understand what credit is. You know, they know the difference between wants and needs. And once my son was born, I would watch him, and I would see him using the tablet a lot. Once he started watching the tablet all the time, I'm like, okay, I need to create some products, some learning products to where he can play on his tablet. And so we started off, I think initially I did do the financial literacy flashcards, the financial literacy learning cards. Then I did addition flashcards as well as subtraction. And it's like all digital. So he could watch it on his tablet, and then other children could be able to do it. I also have tangible cards. And if you could see, like even in my background on the flyer, and my wife did it, where it's a picture of me and a picture of success in the top right corner, and he has like a little suit on as well. So that's pretty much how it came about with my e-commerce, my digital products. Basically through experience, understanding that, hey, I need to teach success, this information. Other parents need to teach their children, as well as I get tired of us saying, you know, I wish they taught us this in school. So if they don't teach us in school, we have to be the teachers, and we got to bring it to the living room.
Hey man, I totally agree with that. It's crazy. I remember I did a post on Facebook, and I was basically on the post. That's exactly what I was saying. And my old wrestling coach in high school, he saw the post, and I guess he took it as some propaganda against school, and he was like peed off.
Not at all. I would say this because my aunt, she's an educator, and she was an educator for over 30 years. But you know, the curriculum, regardless of what the teachers may want to teach, they still are boxed in regards to what they're able to do pertaining to the curriculum, and that might come down from the board of education. So it's like parameters that is maybe outside of their control. So we can't just, it's no shade to the educators. It's no shade to anybody that's actually working in that system. It's just the system as a whole are not teaching our children, are not teaching our teenagers the information that they need to be able to utilize in real life. Like, why don't they know or understand anything in regards to taxes? Or how don't we know anything about credit, you know, investments and things of that nature that's going to help us in real life? Because we, one way or another, we're going to come across taxes. You're going to have to pay taxes. One way or another, at some point, you want to learn and be able to have an asset or know what assets are and have investments and have an emergency fund. These things are rarely spoke about. And if it is, possibly, maybe it's mentioned a few times in economics. But you go through how many years of school, and how often is that being taught, or how often is that the focal point? That was more so of the question. And I think that anybody in the school system can agree with that, that it just needs to be more of a focal point, because it's going to benefit the children. If we really care about the children and their future, I think it's going to benefit the children more than anything if they learn it at a young and an early age.
That's so true. And I just learned something recently, which blew my mind. It's the fact that you can teach a child how to read before they even know how to speak. And it blew my mind when it heard like, but people don't do it because there's no way of getting that feedback from the child if they're actually learning.
Absolutely. I would say one thing that I've noticed, success, like says phrases, is like sometimes his first time saying a certain word is in a phrase. Like before he might say door, he might say shut the door, because he might have heard us say shut the door. He might have seen something on TV where it's talking about shut the door. So I can see where children can more than likely read before they can specifically talk, or even knowing what everything means. Children are like kid geniuses for real. They're genius for real.
My mentor did a New Year's event over at their house, and it was like, I don't know, maybe 20, 25 of us there. And I'm hanging out with his daughter, who I think she's 3 now, might have been 2 at the time. But she looks at me and goes, "When are all these people leaving?" And I go, "I don't know when they're leaving." And she says, "You included." I'm like, 2-year-olds speak like this now?
They are, what's the word? I would say children, they have no filter. They're going to tell you exactly how they feel. They're going to tell you what they do and do not like. They will, and that's one thing that I always encourage children. You never want to shush them. You want to let them say exactly how they feel, but also teach them the difference between, you know, being rude and being kind. Because if you just let them do anything, they'll walk all over you. Because again, they don't have no type of filter.
Because more than being like offended by her, like, nah, like you, like I would have said you too, but I was like, she said you included, and I was like, is this like the and like, and my mentors like are incredible, and they're so intentional about teaching, but like her vocabulary is incredible.
Yes,
And it's like,
I love it.
And she enunciates on everything. I'm like, she speaks better than I do.
No, I love it. I think it's very important. And that's another thing in regards to financial literacy, you know, instilling that confidence in our children, instilling that confidence to where not only just financial literacy, but public speaking as well. We want to make sure that our children have no problem speaking out or delivering a speech. Shout out to my sister Kenya. My niece and my nephews give some of the best speeches. Like, and Kenya works with them. My sister works with them day in and day out. Like, they are great when it comes to giving speeches, pronouncing. It's when I created these cards, they already knew. My niece is in 5th grade, and she already knew, like, I'm not gonna say all of the cards, but at least half of the deck. She already knew what the meaning was. Of course, she's like one of the top in the spelling bee in regards to her school. She goes to a private school, but you know, doing a great job. I love to salute all the parents, especially the parentpreneurs.
That's dope. But yeah, I definitely hate spelling bees. 4th grade, I got eliminated because I couldn't spell the word fudge. I was like, ain't nobody told me there was a D in that word. Like, it was embarrassing.
Hey, you know, I feel like I said, now these kids, they are saying all types of words in the 2nd grade spelling bees. Like, they're getting smarter and smarter. I don't know, because I remember when we were younger, they used to tell us the same thing, like, oh, y'all getting smarter and smarter. I don't know how you learning this or where you learning this from. And now as a parent, I sit back, and as an uncle, I sit back and I just look and like, wow, y'all really growing up. Y'all, I don't know where y'all learning all this stuff from, but you soaking it in and able to pronounce it perfectly and use things in the right tense. And then they'll correct you if you say something wrong. It's like, okay.
Right. No, I love it. So you got all the financial literacy stuff, you got the physical products, you got the digital products, and then you have like the service part as well.
Absolutely.
How would you say the online space, the ecom space, how would you say that's helped out with the physical and the service stuff?
I would say it's been tremendous just due to the fact that it frees up some time. The best thing about any digital product or anything in the e-com space, but specifically these digital products is, once you take the time to create it, it's like almost no overhead. So you don't have to worry about shipping things out. Even though I have physical cards that I do ship out, that's not a problem. But if you don't have to do it, then it's a win. It's no over. You like, let's say I'm currently almost finished with my course, but once the course is completed, I don't have to do anything else. Like it has everything in regards to credit, it's talking about the fundamentals of credit to credit mastery, where we start talking about manufacturing spending, talking about the trade line business, talking about funding business. I want it to be like from elementary school to high school, but just credit related.
Mm.
Then that takes away where I wouldn't have to, well, I'm not saying that I have to now, but some of my clients that may want to do things on their own pace, they don't necessarily need me because now I have a course, which they can watch at any time. Like I stated before, I'm a parentpreneur, meaning I'm a parent first. I'm always going to put my child first in front of the business. However, I have to have a balance. So like as soon as we get off of this, I'm going right back to success. I'm always with them when I travel, whether it's like for a business conference, whether it's vacation, he's always with me, either him and my wife coming or him and my mom's coming. But that's because I'm big on exposure and providing that type of exposure for our children to let them know early on, hey, we travel to all these different places. So as they grow up, they know they don't have to stay in the same area that they are. It's a huge world out there. And that was something that my mom did when I was younger. I ended up I was like in ninth grade. I went to Canada for the first time and I did not want to go. It was a French trip and I did not, it was spring break. I wanted to stay and chill with all my boys. I was not trying to go, but she made me go to Canada with the French class. And it was only like 5 or 6 of us. And I'm like, okay, but it ended up being like one of my best trips as a child. And I used to travel like often as a child just because I had family members that played, in the major leagues or played in the pros, as well as I played sports. So I was traveling through sports. So I always said that, when you expose your children to different things, such as digital products, so as soon as success can really understand what it is that we have, he'll know that, hey, whatever he wants to create, we'll probably be creating it through ecom first before we physically create something, because it's a lot. It's not as much work when it comes to getting your client whatever it is they want to purchase, and it's instant. Once they make the purchase, they get an email, or once they make the purchase, right there for them. And I can still be sleeping. I can be making money in my sleep through that, rather than obviously through credit repair. I have a team in place, but I still dispute. I like doing it myself in regards to the disputing method, studying the laws. Like I like to be hands-on. Even when I'm doing onboarding with my clients, we doing one-on-one Zooms like this, and I like to get to know the client specifically. I'm a real people person, so maybe that comes from previously working at Social Security Administration, and so I've always met tons of people coming from different nationalities and different forms of life. But these digital products has like opened things up for me tremendously because I can make money in my sleep.
I love it. Man, there's so
Yes,
many
sir.
things there I could just like want to open up and talk about. But I'm like, the thing that's sticking out the most is like you said, you used to work at the Social Security Administration.
Yes, sir.
That in itself should be inspiration to get into the financial industry, because I used to sell Medicare, and I talked to these people. It's like, yo, can't nobody afford nothing when they get old.
Man, I would have so many people calling, whether it's Medicare, whether they on Medicaid, whether they on SSI or Social Security or disability. So Social Security handles all of that. So we get people from all across life. You might have people that made $1 million last year, or you might have people on low income that's on SSI. You might have people that have children that's receiving disability because they're disabled, or you may have people that are now applying for survivor benefits because their spouse just passed away. So imagine all those different phone calls and different people that you have to deal with at a specific time. Within one day, you're probably dealing with 60 to 70 different clients calling on different things. It's no script to, and salute to everybody that's still working in the federal government, still working with Social Security, because it's no script to the American people. They just gonna give it to you raw.
They are, and it's crazy when you see it. Like, and it's crazy. I call it the 45-year plan. It's because most people, all they have is that one source of active income. They get out of school, they start working at 22, working till they're 67, and get Social Security, which is gonna be like what, $1,500 a month. Or if you've made
If
like
you lucky,
140,000 most of your
yeah.
career, you can max out at like 3,000.
Yep, the max that I've ever seen anybody receive was 3,200. That's like the max. That's the max.
And
And
these
it's
are people
like,
that make bank throughout most
yeah,
of their
and they had to
career.
be bringing it in for the span of their, usually with Social Security, they look at the top 10 years, your top 10 years career earning. But you're absolutely right. It's like you can't depend on Social Security. That's why you want to be able to start a business. And what better way to start a business than start a business at home or start a business through Ecom? Like digital. I always say, whatever your skill is, how can we create digital products to be able to assist you? Not to where you have to stop everything that you're doing, but it's just another form or another version to where you can make an offer to the clients that are, and it's not going to take your time up. You create it one time and now you can be getting paid for it for the rest of your life.
Yep.
Like that's the big thing in regards to Ecom.
Awesome. I know for the sake of time, we're gonna have to start wrapping things up, but
Yes,
definitely
sir.
want to have you on as a part two. We'll do a longer extended episode where we can really dive, because this is important between the e-commerce side and the financial side. Because the
Yes,
two are
sir.
gonna go hand in hand. I tell people, if you're gonna get into e-com, like selling products, you probably want to be able to get $45,000 credit line just for your products.
To build it out. Yes, sir.
So and you're the man that can help with that. But for people that's already in that journey, before we get to episode 2, man, I want to know more about you, where they can find you. The floor is yours. Promote whatever you want. It's all about you.
Yes, sir. So I'm on Instagram at the Father of Success 2020 is my Instagram. Facebook is Sevon Williams. My business in regards to my credit repair is IC, the letter IC, successsolutions.com. You can check out my website. And in regards to our financial literacy flashcards, as well as my upcoming course, which is going to be called iCredit Success, the credit mastery course, that's going to be at fatherofsuccess.com. And I'm geared towards helping parents. As you all can tell, I'm very passionate about the children. I'm very passionate about helping parents, whether it's closing a home, whether it's expanding their business on the financial literacy side, or helping them obtain funding so they can launch their business. So if anybody needs any help, what you can do is just reach out to me. Let me know that you seen me on this podcast, and I'll be able to provide you credit services at 50% off. I'm also going to provide a discount. If you go to fatherofsuccess.com and get the financial literacy flashcards, I'll do it at 30% off. Just put in the code Genius. You type in the discount code Genius and it'll be 30% off for any of the flashcards. That'll be the subtraction, addition, or the financial literacy flashcards.
Awesome.
Yes, sir.
And I'll be sure to link everything down in all the description boxes. But thank you for the discounts for the audience. Thank you for taking your time to being on the show and just pouring out your genius to our audience. We really appreciate it, brother.
I appreciate you for having me, and I hope the audience enjoyed this, and I would love to be back for part 2. but let's just make sure that we focus on our focus. It's a lot of things. It's a lot of things going on in the world. We can easily become distracted, but you want to get in this ecom space. You want to make sure that you understand financial literacy, get your credit in order so you can utilize your credit to build out your ecom business. That's the final thing that I would say. And always remember, success don't sleep.
That's right. Success don't sleep. And I know these guys are wide awake to take advantage of it. So I appreciate you guys tuning in, listening, or watching, and we'll see you guys on the next episode.